Paul Rivera's reserved personality gave him the peace that he needed to conquer his dreams. So Paul, we were so inspired with your story. Now, we want to dig more deeper. Tell us about your childhood.
So I was born in the Philippines, born in Dasmariñas, Cavite. My mom had me when she was 19, had my brother when she was 20. I didn't really get to know my father. He was out, doing things that he shouldn't be doing. And so I grew up with a single mom. I don't remember much of my childhood in the Philippines. What I do remember is my childhood when we left the Philippines, we moved to the US. And most of that childhood was actually spent living with my grandma. And the reason I had to live with my grandma is my mom had to go back to school and also work. So most of the time, my first 10 years in the US, I spent most of it with my grandma.
So during those times, you see your mother working very hard. How it feel?
And as a child, you feel sad because your mom isn't there. And you don't really understand why mom isn't there. But you begin to realize the sacrifice that they're making. My mom doesn't have to go back to school. You can just say, you know what, I'm just gonna have a regular job. I'm not gonna earn a lot of money, and this is gonna be our life. But she chose to sacrifice for us so that we can have an opportunity to have an even better life than what she had. So I think, when I look back, I'm very, very thankful. And her work ethic inspires my work ethic.
So during this time, you were learning. What do you really want to be?
Generically, successful. You want the things that you can't have, right?
Okay.
Something with computers, right? I thought that I would end up doing something with computers. So when I was growing up, we had this thing called America Online, AOL. It was also the .com boom. So you begin to see these internet entrepreneurs. And I also read about Bill Gates. It's like, I want to be Bill Gates.
So what's your best advice to children or people also who experience or who's in the position like what you've gone through?
You have to see the invisible to do the impossible. What you dream about today may just be a dream. It will probably be a dream a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. But if you keep dreaming, you begin to actually do the things to make that dream happen. And the universe begins to conspire with you to make that dream happen. The only thing that you cannot stop doing during that time, as dark or as bleak as it is to stop dreaming. Because everything that we see around us in this world, every piece of technology, this table, this TV, the show, it was all a dream.
What's your special message also for people? So many has big dreams, but why they're not achieving it?
What I tell people is if you look at your life in segments of 1, 2, or 3 years, you will almost always fail. Your dream will almost always never happen. But if you look at your life in a span of a decade, in 10 years, you can do almost anything in that time period. You have enough runway, you have enough time to be able to actually turn your dream and your idea and make it reality. So judge the failure of your ability to realize your dream in a much longer time frame, and I guarantee that you'll almost always get to that dream.
So what kind of action plan that we should take or use to achieve those dreams?
I think one thing I do every year, January 1, is I write down my goals for the year. And I've done that for the last decade. So I write down I call them my objectives and key results. What are my objectives this year? How do I measure whether or not I've achieved that objective? And I ask myself, are these objectives ambitious enough? I don't want every objective to be met, because if they're all met, then it's not ambitious enough. So my goal is 70% of my goals I hit. So I think the biggest thing is if you have a dream, if you have a goal, write it down. Reflect on it. Come back to it. That has to be something that you mark as something that you want to do, and it just can't live here. You actually have to start with beginning to visualize it in the real world.
So in real life, how many percent, how high you always achieve your goals?
I would say I failed a lot. But the only reason I'm here is I've never given up. But I've also realized many of my dreams and my goals. I've started several companies here. I've invested in companies. I've been able to realize many of the things that when I was young were only a dream. There are many things that I still want to do, but I know that I'm still young and I have a lot of time to be able to realize them.
So many people right now, including your employees for sure, that they wanted to start their own business too. So what's your best advice for them to do it, especially with no capital?
Don't look for an idea. Look for a problem you care about, a problem or a domain that you have expertise in, and be an entrepreneur in that domain, rather than looking for an idea that you think sounds cool but you have no expertise and you have no relationships in there, in that domain, and you try to do it. That becomes a very difficult thing to do. Look for areas where you have an unfair advantage. So my advice is to look for problems rather than ideas.
So many children also have so many ideas, know the problem, but they don't know how to create a business plan. How to create a business plan?
When I work with entrepreneurs, I don't ask them for their business plan. I ask them for their vision. What is your vision? Because the plan, you can figure out if you have the right vision. So I think before you turn something into a plan, what is the vision? Ask yourself, why am I doing this? That ultimately will result in a business plan, which you can get online. You can get that template online. What you can't get online is the vision.
With that, what's your special message to our countrymen, especially the young generations?
Look at the last 5 years. Kind of look at the progress we've made. And ask yourself, have we made enough progress that we should continue this path? Or do we need to change direction? What I want young people to realize is the problems that the Philippines has, you can't fix it in 5 years. It's going to take 20 years. This transformation that we're creating is not going to happen overnight. So to choose wisely, to be patient, but to also be a part of the solution rather than being someone that complains about the problem. Figure out a way that you can also help drive the country to the country that you want to live in.
So what is high expectation meaning to you?
I think high expectation, I'm more of the mindset of it's better done than perfect. As a startup, you have so many challenges, so many things you're trying to do, that it's really about speed rather than perfection. So that's kind of our operating mantras. The perfection is a journey. It's not a destination that you can ever get to.
What's your best advice to all Filipinos, not only in Philippines but around the world, to achieve that?
Don't give up on the Philippines. Don't lose hope. Don't be so cynical about everything. Again, we got to where we are today because of neglect. We've been able to undo some of that, but that does not happen overnight. So don't be cynical, be patient, dream and hope that the Philippines that we want to live in can actually happen during our lifetime.
And we have to be sooner.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Every success has its struggles. Every dream has its trials and tests. Listen to their stories, because if they did it, you can also be called self-made.